Here we go. Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Can everyone hear me good? This room that I built the studio in has been an absolute torture chamber for my sound quality. Let's just say that, man. I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm getting hella reverb and all that good stuff. Okay, that's good. You guys can hear me. What's up, Jason? How about them Browns this week? I've been licking my fingers all week. Outside of that, man, am I the only one who feels like there's not a lot to slang at this week? I get the Browns, and we've been on the Texans all year. So we have the highest available opinion of the Texans possible. We've been on them since like week fucking 2. And I'm just seeing a great situation for us to dive in head first with the Browns. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't know if you guys have been seeing this week, a lot of people have been hinting towards a Green Bay upset. And I'm not as high on the Cowboys as everyone else, but man, I'm just not buying into that. And I would like someone to come on here and explain to me like why that's going to happen. That's one thing I would like to get out of the way tonight. Yeah, man. What's up, RJ? Nice to see you. What's up, Zamora? I'll fill out a bracket. Do we? Are playoff brackets an NFL thing? I always remember mad dashing to print off the NCAA bracket, but yeah, I'll do a bracket tonight. Why the fuck not? What's up, YVK? Yeah, man, the Lions is also another game. Like, listen, I understand completely why some people think it's dangerous. I understand completely. Like, I'm not living in a Dan Campbell world, even though Dan Campbell has bought me a car. I'm not living in some sort of lion's echo chamber by any means. But I don't know why everyone thinks this is some sort of like slam dunk upset from the Rams. And maybe it's because the Rams passing game, and that's impressive. They've been protecting Stafford. I get it. But at a certain point, Stafford's going to get some pressure and someone's going to get some hits on Stafford, and I want to see what happens. I'm very curious to see how the Lions come into this game. Aaron Glenn getting head coaching interviews, Ben Johnson getting head coaching interviews. Unfortunately, sometimes in this league, that plays a part. I don't know if that's going to affect this game. I'm not looking for an excuse if the Lions end up losing the game, but I'm just putting that out there. And then also, like, before everyone gets in here, man, some of these moves this week with the head coaches. And I wanted to put this one to the chat. What are you guys seeing with all of this? Firstly, I've been saying all year, I think Belichick to the Chargers makes sense. But everything I'm hearing outside of that is saying, oh, it's not a good fit. The Chargers organization is a complete mess. They don't want the hoodie. They want Harbaugh. So, like, I'm kind of getting shaken up a little bit here. And then I'm looking at Vrabel. I mean, we're better, so obviously we rate him higher than other people. But even the regular mainstream people do rate Vrabel quite high. And I'm just wondering where his landing spot's going to be. Like we saw the Commanders hire a GM Smart today. I guess he has links with the old Patriot system. And I do wonder, like, who is making the move for Vrabel and Belichick? And the one thing I want to do is just say, I think the spot for Bill Belichick is in Los Angeles. Like, I think that's the spot. I think that's the spot where he can make the most difference. Okay, RJ Tyndall says, I got the Lions, but might buy a point. Matthew McRae, Lawson, what's up, my G? What's up, Matt? Good to see you, man. Yeah, man, finally got a haircut. keeping up with Kenzie. Finally got a haircut. Zamora sends a super chat. Score prediction for Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. Give me 21-17 Tampa Bay. Listen, this is one game. It just depends on, like, if you're one of those guys who I've been swayed by what I saw out of the Eagles. I think this is a sinking ship. I'm not sure there's any Alamo left. And if someone wants to come on here and make an argument and says, listen, I think the Eagles got one last battle plan in them. I think the Eagles have one last renaissance in them. I'm fine. I'll listen to it because the talent of the team is absolutely stacked. But I'm not seeing it, man. I'm not seeing it. I think Tampa Bay wins the game. I think it's going to be an ugly game, too. I really like the under on that. What's up, Ron? Carlos Moreno, are you holding or buying any championship future bets? I did make a small Browns one to win the Super Bowl about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Other than that, not big on the future bets once we get to this time of the year. But I do think the Browns can go on a run. That could be dashed on Saturday easily by Stroud. But I really like the look of this Browns team. So if I were to pick a future bet that would pay out and that has a chance to pay, I would take the Browns. And also, this AFC is looking pretty wounded right now. I get it. People are loving themselves some Bills at the moment. But, man, before this season, we thought this AFC, even at week 5 or week 6, this AFC was looking juggernaut. Like we had 5 Super Bowl contenders. We got the Dolphins now. Dolphins look lost. I mean, they're down their first 4 starting defensive ends. We're looking at the Chiefs, and no one can get fucking open or catch the ball. And we're looking at other teams in the AFC like the Bills, and they churn it over a ton. Tons of defensive injuries. Are they going to be able to be physical in the trenches? There's so many more questions in the AFC than there was week 5, week 6. I think the Browns have a chance here, boys. I really do, man. I really do. And we've been betting the Browns the whole year. Has it been perfect? Absolutely not. Has it paid out? Yes. Has it been stressful? Extremely, extremely stressful. But, man, I do think the Browns can do something in the playoffs. Yeah, it sticks. I kind of want Harbaugh to stay in Michigan, too. I'm not a big college football guy, but I really feel like he fits like a glove with what they're trying to do. So, yeah, man, listen, Harbaugh was a very, very good NFL head coach. Let's not diminish him by any means. But do I think he's this silver jewel that everyone's trying to say that can come in and save a franchise, bring the Chargers to the Super Bowl? I don't think he's that guy. I think people are over-exaggerating quite a bit. I would prefer him to stay in college. What's up, Scott? Shout out to the people in Cleveland. Shout out to the people in Cleveland. Nice to see you, Scott. Michael Killens. How many people are running parlays centered around Dallas and Buffalo money line? Bro, I've barely been on the internet the last 3-4 days, and I've seen probably like 50. I've probably seen 50 based on that, saying stuff like just tease the Bills and Cowboys down. I've seen a lot of it. Michael Rodriguez, Lawson, Eagles -2, -3. I want to do it. College fund type money. Please talk me out of it. I'm worried about Michael. Like, I get the fundamentals here. And as someone who actually watches these Bucs games, they've looked pretty poor the last 2 weeks. I'm not taking anything away from their W's, but they've looked pretty poor. So I'll give you that. But I'm worried about Hurts' health. And it's not even about that middle finger we saw like slanted in a crazy diagonal direction. It's more about just a cumulative ankle injury, knee injury. He's not part of the running game anymore. Their secondary can't stop anyone. Now, you do have a little bit of a joker card because I think Baker Mayfield's shoulder injury is extremely serious. Like, I think it's an issue. But then again, are the Eagles going to be able to get any stops defensively? And I'm worried about the overall team psychology of the Eagles. And that's not something we can measure. That's not something we can prove. But I'm worried about it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm worried about it. That's what I would do to talk you out of that. Yeah, what's up, Ron? Drop money on the Browns winning AFC. I can see it, man. This is setting up for the Browns rather well. You would not have guessed 12 weeks ago that the Browns would be in this type of position. JJ's in Dejas. What's up, JJ? Ravens are going to smoke a lot of teams. They're coming in healthy, man. And I think that makes a damn bit of difference. And let's say you get like a hypothetical Ravens-Bills matchup. I'm not looking at the bracket right now. I'm just spitballing. Let's say you get like a hypothetical Ravens-Bills matchup or Ravens-Chiefs matchup. It would be hard to count the Ravens out of either one of those. And it could get ugly on the Ravens side. Once they start going for the kill, they blow that boot. They lower that boot down on your neck. I mean, that's where I'm at. Yeah. I mean, Ravens are looking pretty damn good going into playoffs. Browns beat them, though. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go live for one of the games. What had happened. I'm going to go live for one of the games. I haven't made up my mind yet. Because I've been going through some crazy stuff in the house lately, but I'm going to go live for at least one of them. I'll let you guys know. I'm still thinking about which ones I'll go live for. I'm thinking that I'll go live for Saturday. The problem is when I do go live, I have to use DAZN International to get the games, which gives me a little bit of a delay. And then also, once you go live on YouTube, it gives you even more of a delay. So it ends up that I'm 5 minutes behind. But I do want to go live for some of these playoff games, man. I'm really excited about this Saturday slate. And am I the only one who thinks that the Steelers could beat the Bills? I'm not saying go bet it. I'm not saying get excited about it or anything like that. But that plus 10 is looking really fucking good right now. And I don't know if you guys saw the weather report today. The weather report is looking like this could be a snow game. And the winds did drop a little bit. We're looking at 20 to 25 mile per hour winds, which I still think is enough to affect the passing game, especially if you're looking at wind. I do think that's a great equalizer for the Steelers. And I do think that makes that 10 points extremely viable. Josh, the team I probably like the most this week is the Browns. Which pains me to say because we've been ground floor on this Stroud masterclass that he put forth this year. There's nothing better than getting on the ground floor or something and watching Stroud ball out week in and week out. And everyone doubted us last week when we bet the Texans against the Colts. But I do think it's time for Houston's season to end. I do think this is a bad matchup, and I'm worried about this Texans offensive line against the Browns defensive line. Really worried about it, man. Play of the year, Tampa Bay Bucks +3. Whoa, that's bold, man. That's bold. Don't know if it would be play of the year for me. We've had 3 college fun bets so far this year. We're 2-0 with a push. I don't know if I would put that at college fun level. But listen, man, it just depends. It really depends on the psychology of the Eagles. That's what we've been talking about all week. I'm worried about it. I'm petrified about it. And I'm looking at an Eagles team that, I don't even know if they're going to show up. And once you've been slapped around by the New York Giants, it's time to get worried. And if you were thinking of backing the Eagles, I think it's just better off to sit out of that game if you think the Eagles are going to win, because before you bet the Eagles, here's one thing. Here's one little piece of advice. Before you bet the Eagles, go back and watch that full game against the New York Giants. And if you still feel like betting them, that's fine. Yeah, and like RJ, like I'm worried about the Matt Patricia move. I mean, does it get any more desperate than that? Extremely worried about it. What's up, Matthew Stallworth? What's up, man? Great to see you. Great to see you. Steelers money line, like I said, like I feel like that's maybe you getting a little bit too greedy, YVK. Like I think it's getting a little bit too greedy. But with 10, come on, man. Come on. Like I grew up in that weather my whole fucking life. It's an equalizer. It is an equalizer. Like I remember one time, okay, I'm not comparing anything I did to professional football, but I remember one time we were in like the Pop Warner playoffs, like 12 to 13-year-olds. And we were playing a team called the Mo Better Jaguars. Like Spike Lee was sponsoring them. As you can imagine, they were far more athletic and fast than us. You can use your imagination. And then it snowed that day. And then it equalized everything. The speed didn't matter anymore. The quarterback didn't matter anymore. It was down to the little things like special teams, running up the middle, who's going to get a better push, who's going to get less penalties. It came down to that. And like I said, this team was from New York City, obviously a lot more athletic than kids from where I was from. And then like we beat them because it snowed. Like weather plays a factor in every level of football. Whew. Vivian Dodd with the $20 super chat. Good luck in the playoffs to all awesome followers. Thank you, Vivian. I appreciate the good vibes. I am looking forward to the playoffs. A lot of people say like divisional round is their favorite. My two favorite weeks of the year are week 1 and this wild card weekend. Not sure about you guys, but it's at 7.5 Steelers now. Come on, bro. Let me fact check that because I woke up today. It was at 10. Okay, it's at 9.5 on Bet365. It's at 9.5 on FanDuel. 9.5 on DraftKings. Yeah, where are you seeing 7, my guy? Yeah, like I get it. Everyone's on the Rams this week. I do think that there's a possibility that could backfire on the whole world. I do feel like the Rams have been a little bit overrated this whole year. And the Eagles getting absolutely broken by the Giants last week, I think has overshadowed the Rams' performance against the Giants that no one really wants to look at. I don't think if Detroit went into the Meadowlands, I don't think Detroit would be close to losing a game. And I think that's one thing people are sleeping on. And we had a big bet on Patreon, Giants +6. Everything went against us. When I say everything, I mean everything. Turnovers, penalties, 70-yard throws, called back because of BS or little ticky-tack things. Everything went against us. Giants still should have won the game. So I don't think this Rams team is the juggernaut everyone thinks. I am a little bit nervous about Detroit's secondary. I am. But I do think Detroit will be able to get pressure on Stafford. That's the main synopsis of what I'm saying. I got to read this. The best gambling show on the internet, the home of the money pick, and the homes of the Rams upsetting the Lions. Yeah, you guys want to see the Lions lose, man. You guys want to see the Lions lose. Yeah, I'm feeling good about the Browns. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the Patreon questions. Yeah, Mike, I do think Wild Card Weekend is severely overrated. Like I said, it's week 1 and Wild Card Weekend for me. The divisional doesn't get me as jacked up And I feel like we got some really good matchups this year in wild card. Yeah, we ain't smoking anything here, in my opinion. We ain't smoking nothing. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the Patreon questions. Lauren Kaiser's in a poker tournament, so let's see if she gets back in time. Can we get some props for this weekend, please? Ben, I actually did write some down. I think I'm going to just post them because they're too numerous. But maybe I'll say some on air in a little while. So let me think, because there's 5 I really like. I don't know if I should save them for Patreon or just put them out on the show. But I'll do my digging. Some of them are a little bit different. Like one thing I like is Jalen Petrie over 4.5 tackles. That's one I like. Like I went digging this week. So as the show goes on, I'll let you guys know. I'll post them all on Patreon. I really went deep digging for some of these. Okay, here we go. Thank you for the question, Ben John. Steelers, Cowboys, 6-point teaser. What you think, Charles? I love it, man. I absolutely love it, Charles. I get it. People, can I tell you something? A lot of this Packers, Cowboys analysis, people are pointing towards what happened last year when Aaron Rodgers was the fucking quarterback in Mike McCarthy's first year coaching. Like, bro, I'm just not the one thinking the Packers are going to upset the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys roll in this game, and I think they're too damn explosive. And for the Steelers, you add 6 to 9.5, 10. I like it. Like I said earlier, I think the snow and wind is a great equalizer. And also, look at both of these teams. The Bills, when they play a bad team, they play down to that team's level. When the Steelers play a good team, they play up to that level. And like I said, like I think the weather works heavily in the Steelers factor. I mean, obviously, it's not great that TJ Watt's not out there, but how many times are you going to be able to throw if you're Josh Allen, if you get 25-mile-per-hour wind and snow raining down on you? So I think that makes good sense. So essentially, you're bringing the Cowboys down to -1 and the Steelers up to 15.5. I like it. Lino Frosto, yo, Lawson, what's good, Playboy? How's the fam doing? We're doing good, man. Had a little bit of turmoil here. The wife ended up getting sick, but she's good. She's in the hospital right now. It was a fucking long ordeal, like 10 days, but she's doing better now. Thank you for asking. Thank you for taking your time and putting in the work to make the Patreon family money this year, year in and year out. We got any degenerate soccer plays this week? Shout out Lawson, shout out Lauren, Dicko, Prestige, Busy Gal, and Cadfire. Peace. We do got soccer bets this week. I think I'm going to post 4. One is really degenerate. One is like a plus 280. I post those with caution because, you know, we've been hitting like plus 160s, plus 190s the whole damn year, and people get greedy. But yeah, we will have soccer plays. I'm thinking 3 or 4. I actually really like the docket we got this week. So thank you, Lino. Good to see you, man. Quack, how you like my parlay? Najee, anytime touchdown. I like the fundamentals of it, but I always worry about Jalen Warren stealing those carries. Najee, over 59 yards rushing. I do like that, but I do worry about Jalen Warren stealing carries. Pitt, Buffalo, under 34 points. Can I do the math here? Okay, I'm rolling with you. I'm rolling with what you're trying to do. Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, under 44 points. I do like that. Isaiah Pacheco, over 15.5 rush attempts. I love that. I mean, that's sharkish right there. It's just with the Najee stuff, man, I just feel like we don't know if Jalen Warren's going to get a lot of touches or not. For me, watching the Steelers this year, I feel like Jalen Warren was the better running back. And I don't know how that factors into the game. We know the Steelers are going to run it a lot, and both of them seem to split carries. But yeah, man, that's the only criticism with the parlay. That's the only criticism at all. Jeremy Wheel, and that's $20 for a $20 bet for $700 in payout. Not bad, man. Not bad. Jeremy Wheel, Packers could cover. Yeah, it's a 50-50, I think. Never really seen them get blown out of the park this year. What you think, Lawson? Yeah, but now that it's down to 7, I don't think there's any rational reason to bet the Packers. The last time when you talk about them getting blown out of the park, one game that comes to mind is when Kirk Cousins went in Lambeau Field and put on an absolute masterclass. But I think they only lost that game by like 14 or 17, but they never really had a chance to win it. I agree with you, and I do think the Packers keep it close. It's just not something I would want to bet. Because this Cowboys team is very, very explosive. And one word I wouldn't use to describe Green Bay's offense is explosive. And then we're also seeing the same old problems with Green Bay. Christian Watson injured. We're just seeing that happen every single week. And I feel like this offense needs Christian Watson. And we're hearing a lot of people point to last year's game because, listen, Cowboys played a lot of man-to-man against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was able to cook the Dallas secondary. I'm just not so sure Jordan Love can do that. And also, when I watched Jordan Love this year, I felt like he was better against zone coverage when teams are playing soft. When teams went to man, I found his receivers struggled to create separation. Jalen Reed's getting a lot better. But other than that, like, I'm not seeing anyone who can slam dunk, create separation. So I would not touch that. Brian DePaul, let's get it, Lawson Nation. Huge Browns fan. Think it's top play of the weekend. Hate being a homer. I hope there is the right side. Can you give the X and O analysis for the game? Yeah, let me get into it, Brian. Man, I'm worried about the Texans' offensive line. Laramie Tutsil's absolutely phenomenal when he's pass blocking, but we see 2 or 3 false starts a game. We see him struggling to run block. And I do think the interior of this Texans offensive line is pretty weak. And I do think this Browns team is getting healthy at the right time, especially on defense. Now, I know Ward had a setback in practice that I do worry about. But other than that, this is the most healthy I've seen this defense since week 6, week 7. And I also think the Browns are going to attack Stroud. And when we don't know if Noah Brown's going to play. Someone can leave that in the chat, but he's seriously injured, and I don't think he's going to be a big factor. Man, I felt like the loss of Tank Dell absolutely killed this Texans team. And Stroud will be able to make plays. Stroud will be able to put on a show, but I just don't think they'll have a running game, and I don't think he'll be able to throw it all that much. And I also think this Browns offensive line is back and healthy. That's one thing people slept on ever since the Chicago game. 2 starters went down the first 5 minutes of the Chicago game. And now that this Browns offensive line is healthy and ready to go, man, give me the Browns. And I think you can run it on the Texans. And people pushed back on me last week. Even though we had the Texans as the best bet, people pushed back on me when I said, listen, man, I think you can run it against the Texans. I think you can pound them a little bit up front. And I think that's what the Browns will do. That's my X and O analysis. I am curious to see what D'Amico has up his sleeve. I feel like Stefanski's been one of the better coaches this year. He hasn't gotten a lot of hype, a lot of coverage due to the vast amount of injuries. But I like Stefanski in this game. I like the Browns in this game. Yeah, man. Excited for the Browns game. Mike 87. What do you think about the Pats passing on Vrabel for Mayo? Big mistake, in my opinion. I think so too, Mike. I do. I think it's a little bit lazy. And I've never been one guy. I've never been a guy who likes when a team sets up a succession plan. You know how those go. Like, for instance, the Patriots before 3 years ago, they had a succession plan with Josh McDaniels. How did that churn out? And I listen, man, I'm not sure Jared Mayo is the shake and bake they need. Like, I think they need an offensive guy. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that they're going to be hiring another GM. I think that will be a net positive. But other than that, I was a little bit stunned about it. And can I ask you guys a question? Am I the only one who's extremely confused by this coaching market? I have no idea how it's going to shake out. Absolute no idea how it's going to shake out. I thought Vrabel would be a surefire candidate for the Patriots. Johnny, that's fucking concerning to me. Johnny Gunn says there was a contract clause for Mayo. They didn't have a choice at this point. That's fucking concerning. Can we just all resonate on that for a second? That is fucking concerning. And listen, I'm not even anti-defensive head coach at this point because I really liked DeMeco Ryans' hire last year, and we saw what he did with this Texans squad. But a defensive coach, they need to have a good offensive coordinator up their sleeve. And who's the offensive mind on this Patriots staff or in Gerard Mayo's black book that's going to be able to have some sort of impact or renaissance? I mean, Bill O'Brien's on a 3-year contract. Pretty fucking concerned about that. Cool breeze. Raiders are doing Pierce dirty already. I kind of agree. Did you guys see Pierce had an interview with the Titans today? It's just, I did take a step back when I saw Pierce was interviewing with the Titans today. You know, you push Vrabel out because I think Vrabel was beefing with the GM. Does Antonio Pierce look like the type of guy who will let a GM usurp him in any sort of argument? So I just didn't get any of it. That's why I said, like, listen, man, I want to hear what you guys think because I don't have a read on this head coach shakeup. I don't. And like, I honestly, like, I know Vrabel says he doesn't want to coach college. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him end up in Ohio State. Yeah. Listen, I don't like those clauses, Johnny. Like, we heard Josh McDaniels had one of them before. I don't like those. I remember Jim Boeheim in Syracuse had one of those, and then he never followed through with it. And then the guy ended up going to USC, and then Syracuse got fucked in the ass. I don't know, man. We'll see, man. We'll see about Gerard Mayo. He's going to need another offensive brain in that room because we know how dire it's been. Okay, here we go. Okay, about this, my man. As a Giants fan, the fan base is hoping for Pierce DC job. Yeah, well, the stuff of Wake Martindale was absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. Like, we did hear early in the season they had some beef. And then we saw Daboll fire like 2 or 3 of his assistant coaches, and then Martindale's just like fucking flipped out and quit. Is there a better defensive coordinator in this league? Like when I think of good defensive coordinators in this league, I think of like Flores, Spagnuolo. I think of Martingale. It's tough to let one of those guys walk, man. It's tough. It's Mike. Washington has an attractive coaching vacancy if Vrabel can tolerate living in Seattle. Okay, so I think you're trying to say like Seattle's got a good one. I get it. Still no quarterback there. I kind of feel like the Chargers is the best one. And I kind of feel like in this whole like coaching mix, people are forgetting about Ben Johnson, Detroit's offensive coordinator. That's the guy I would probably be looking at. But could I say no to Vrabel or Bill Belichick? Probably not. Okay. Let's get to the next Patreon question. Chris, I agree that NFL stands for no fucking logic, and I feel comfortable knowing that there will be craziness. The gambler's prayer sums it all perfectly. It's fucking crazy. No doubt, bro. No doubt, bro. St. Nicholas, I'm loving the Browns this week. I did hear that word is questionable, but I don't think it matters. Yeah, the Browns have won us plenty of money when word was signed. Stroud doesn't have enough talent on the outside to get open routes. Agreed. Well, Garrett and company can bear down on him and suffocate their run game. Agreed. Think Browns D wins this one while Browns run it down their throat. I actually think we see a rejuvenation of the Browns running game this week. Yeah, man, I agree, St. Nicholas. I'm not disagreeing one bit. I'm not disagreeing one bit. Chai Yang got big money on the Browns at -2. Now it's at -2.5. I like it when lines move like this. I get it. Ray Rouse, good season, Lawson. I appreciate all the work you've done for us this season. Thank you, Ray. Always great to have you on Patreon, man. Question is, I have a $55 Super Bowl future on the Texan that pays $4K. I'm thinking to bet hedge on Browns for $1K this week. Your thoughts on hedging this way? I've never been a fan of hedging. And I actually felt bad last week. Someone asked me for advice on a hedge. And I told him not to do it. And he got burned. I just don't like hedging. I don't like hedging. But in this case, I would say just bet the fucking Browns. Bet the Browns. Listen, man, I love Houston, and I've made an argument for them pretty much this whole year, and we've been mostly right about them the whole year. I just feel like it's came to an end, and I don't like betting against Stroud, and it's never a good recipe to bet against a quarterback who's an absolute Goliath. Like it's not smart. But I think all the factors point towards the Browns this game. So that's what I would tell you. I'd just go Browns, man. I guess you got to hedge it. If the Texans had Tank Dell, bro, I would tell you to just stick with that, and you could see some magic. Lawton Hargrove in need of one solid player prop for a same game PX. DraftKings has quit offering no sweat bets on regular parlays. Thanks. Maybe I can help you out. I did make a list of some props. I'll post them. I am not going to be betting them heavy or anything like that, but I will post a list of props I made on Patreon. Okay, here we go. Busy Gal. The Packers-Cowboys game. Both teams beat the Lions. I'm thinking of taking the points. Any thoughts? When in doubt, take the points. I want it, though. I want it. I think there's a possibility the Packers get ran the fuck out of here by the Cowboys. This is the most excited I've been about a Cowboys team in probably like since Romo was back there. I honestly think this Cowboys team is legit good. And one matchup I'm watching is, I saw a stat today, but it makes sense. The Packers have like one of the worst first down defenses in the league. And then if you give Dallas 2nd and 5, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2 the whole day, Dak Prescott's just going to stand around and completely surgically smash you. And I'm also looking at, okay, you can run it against the Packers. Will we see the Cowboys running it more? Is there anyone outside of Rashawn Gary that can get a pass rush on Dak Prescott? And my answers to all those questions are no. So I'm going Cowboys to cover. Do I want to do it? No. Do I like laying 7 against a Green Bay team that has nothing to fucking lose? No, I don't like it. But that's my opinion on it. Derek, hey John, thanks for all your advice this year. Love your passion and always look forward to hearing what you have to say about the games. Thanks, Derek. Would you change or remove any 1 to 2 games on the 7-point teaser? I'd also like to hear some more of your thoughts on the Philadelphia-Tampa game if you have time or haven't done so already on your show. Cleveland +5, I like it. KC +3, I like it. Buffalo -2.5, I like it. Dallas pick'em, I love it. Detroit +4, Philadelphia +4. I would take off the Philly game. That's the only one I would take off. And let's get into the second part of your question. Man, with the Eagles, can we even talk X's and O's at this point? I'm being honest. Can we? Listen, what was it? 2.5, 3 weeks ago, A.J. Brown held a players-only meeting. And it seems like every single time we hear that phrase, the team just gets worse. And it kind of means like the team's done. It's kind of like the final nail in the coffin. And then with the health of Hurts, I can't see how he's going to be active in the run game. And I think this team is missing that. They're not opening the holes they were earlier in the year. We're not seeing Hurts use play action. We're not seeing much creativity on offense. And they might have to replace both coordinators once the season's over. That's a big fucking concern. And on defense, they haven't covered anyone the whole year. 3-4 weeks ago, they pivot and let Matt Patricia call the plays. And it hasn't had any effect. It certainly hasn't had a positive effect. And then we're looking at a Bucs team. I get it. Like Baker has a bad shoulder. I do think the injury is real. And I do think it's affected him the last 2 weeks. But when you got Mike Evans, when you got Chris Godwin working against a secondary, it's not even that the secondary is complete ass. They do seem out of sync and they do seem completely predictable. Like the whole year, this Eagles secondary, they just haven't been disguising their coverage. And I'm also worried about this Eagles pass rush. Outside of Jalen Carter, is anyone playing good ball on this Eagles defensive line? Maybe someone can prove me wrong, but that's where I'm at. Like the defensive line's not playing good. The secondary's not playing good. I don't think Sirianni has the lid on this locker room. I think they need to change the offensive coordinator ASAP, and that's not going to happen before the game. I'm worried about the Eagles. Yeah, man. Martin Lawrence, hey Lawson, I'm in a wheelchair. How do I get on your Patreon next season? Link in the description, $5 a month. Yeah, man. It's pretty easy. It's not too difficult. So you'll have a good time there. Okay. Let's read what Michael Killens is saying. I think you're talking about Ray Rouse, if I remember correctly, big old Ray. Guy who talked about hedging Houston Super Bowl plus 400 futures will definitely still be available on everyone except San Fran and Baltimore after this round. So don't rush to put 1K on Cleveland to win Super Bowl. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, your math is completely correct. I do want to see what the 49ers come with after this bye week, Nick. Preseason, my pick was 49ers to win it. So we'll see if that happens. I'm thinking a 49ers Browns going to happen. Mr. Bell, you're not wrong. The Bills have serious injuries that no one's fucking talking about. No one is. No one's talking about the Bills' injuries, and they're very, very serious. Let's get it, KG. Let's get it, man. Let's get it, man. Does it, Johnny? What Johnny? Okay, we know. Let's just put it out into the universe. Johnny likes the Cowboys. Like, this. Fuck, man. My bad. Sorry for all of you listening in headphones. So, let me phrase the question this way. Are you worried from a like San Fran fans perspective, like you worry about the boys coming out flat? Or do you worry from a Cowboys perspective that you guys come in with more wear and tear than the 49ers in this hypothetical matchup? You understand what I'm saying? Avon, I wouldn't touch the Texans money line. I can't do it. I can't do it this week. I can't do it. Johnny, I don't think it benefits them all that much either. Listen, they had some injuries, but they didn't have an awful lot. Like, honestly, like a team I think that would benefit from like the 2-week break, it's kind of like the Eagles. I think like a team like that would benefit more than like the Cowboys, 49ers, Ravens. That's my opinion. So I don't think it's a big benefit. And I've seen too many teams get burned by these 2 weeks off, a la Ravens in 2019. What were they? 6.5, 7-point favorites against the Titans. Titans beat them by 2 touchdowns. They come out just flat as fuck. Never got anything going. Derrick Henry was throwing touchdown passes. Okay, here we go. Let's get to Joe DeSouza. What's up, Joe? What's up, Lawson? What do you think? Chiefs under, Bills under, or Joe Flacco over 250 passing? And who out of these two are the live to be the upset? Bucks or Rams? I would go Bucks in that scenario. Now, are you talking full game? Because I did change my pick. For the Dolphins-Chiefs over-under, I have to go under now. I came to my senses. It's just going to be too damn cold. And I don't think Tua's arm is going to cut too well. I don't think it's going to slang too well in that type of cold. The Bills under, yeah, man. When I did the over-under video, I was like, I'm not really involved in that. Joe Flacco, I do think Joe Flacco goes over 250. I do think the Browns. I like the over under in the Texans Browns game. By the way, I really like the over. My best bet is Rams Lions over and the Cowboys first half total over 14.5. I do like that over first half. I do like the Cowboys first half total over 14.5. I do think that makes sense. Yeah, Joe, I kind of agree with you. I think the Cowboys do smoke them. We're hearing a lot of people like say, oh, Packers can win the game, and this is the upset of the week, Packers. I don't know, man. And then every time I hear someone make an argument, it dates back to what happened last year. Okay, here we go. Okay, Crew 60, what's up, John? Hope you're well. Why is the public raving to grab that under in the KC game? I know it'll be subarctic there, but ideally I think it's a trap. Comments. Yeah, man, I like the under now, but it does feel like a little bit of a trap. It's not something I'm going to be betting for sure. In any sort of scenario, I say this is an over because also look at the Dolphins' defensive situation. They're without Van Ginkel. They're without Jalen Phillips. They're without their middle linebacker. They're without Bradley Chubb. Who's going to rush the passer? And then we know like slanging blitzes at Mahomes really doesn't work. So that's why I think the public might be getting suckered on it. I'm just worried about the Dolphins and how they come out in that cold weather. That's what I'm worried about. I think the Chiefs will be able to put up a decent amount of points. I think the Chiefs will do their part to get this over. You do wonder about the Dolphins. So that would be my response. Next question is a lot of predictions are leaning on Houston because Flacco might drop a lot of interceptions this game and he might be outgunned. How strong are you on the Brownies? Extremely strong. I do worry about the Browns' critical errors. Like for me, man, it's not even about Joe throwing interceptions. It's about the Browns on 3rd and inches, false start. Now we got a 3rd and 6. It's about the Browns making stupid decisions at critical times in the game. But I also think this week off for Cleveland is going to improve them a lot. And we have to remember Joe Flacco just hasn't had a lot of time in this offense with this team, with this coaching staff. And I think this week off for him to take a deep breath, I think that's going to help them. When the Texans were in the AFC South championship game, an absolute dogfight. I think I really like Flacco in this game. I think he's going to come out and play good. And I think he'll also have a running game to assist him. Are you strong on Lions tossing the Rams game and they are ideally the hungrier team? I'm leaning Lions. I'm leaning Lions too. Do I think they're the hungrier team? Not necessarily. But I do think Dan Campbell, listen, Dan Campbell will pay for his decision in week 18, playing the starters as long as he did against the Vikings. He will pay for that. But I also think he will get a little bit of payback this week. I think he will be extremely ready to go. And then one thing I'm not hearing enough about this Lions-Rams game is I feel like the Lions offensive line has a huge advantage. And everyone needs to understand, I get it, the Rams offense is potent, but offenses aren't as potent in the playoffs as they are in the regular season. This game will be more grind-like than you think. And I like the Lions in that situation. I think they can grind this game. I think they can run this ball really well. And also, if I were to make a prediction, I think the Lions run it for 150 rushing yards. We got to remember this Lions offensive line, there's a lot of money invested into it. And they haven't been healthy until week 16, week 17. And they got some games together, and I think that'll help. And I do think this Rams team is rather top-heavy. You got dogs and stars like Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, you got Nakua, you got Cooper Kupp. But the average, above average players in this team, you got Kendrick, the safety. Outside of that, it's either below average or great players. Man, I just feel like the Lions got a better overall roster. Woodbury 222. Hey Lawson, what do you think of a Florida ticket? Miami plus 4.5, Tampa plus 3.5. I'm not going to talk you off of it, Woodbury. I want to see the Dolphins show up. I really do want to see the Dolphins show up. And like I said, I'm worried about this defensive end situation from the Dolphins. That's why I don't want to bet this game. I don't even want to go near it. That's where I'm at. The Tampa, it makes perfect fucking sense to me. I see you crystal clear there. It's just with the Dolphins. I'm a little bit disappointed with the Dolphins, man. I feel like they got some really bad luck near the end of this season. I'm not talking about the games. Just talking about the sheer amount of injuries. Yes, they bring in Bruce Irvin. They brought in another vet to play defensive end. But we know that doesn't work all that well. We know that doesn't work that well. Bringing in Vax before a big do or die playoff game. Oh man, I'm a little bit disappointed about the Dolphins, man. Chris, do you see Lenny Fournette having much impact this week? I do. I think it's a good week for him. James Cook has been balling, absolutely balling. But I do think this could be a game where we see Lenny Fournette get 6-7 carries. And the Steelers' run game, their run defense hasn't been all that good this year. And they have been susceptible to power runners. So that's why I think Leonard Fournette will have a little bit of play in this game. Yeah, man. Woo! It's hot in here, man. We're at like fucking like 95 degrees today. Woo! Okay, yeah, man. Looking forward to these playoffs. What's up, Tim? What's up, Tim? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Fredo. Okay, so you pretty much miss me doubling down on everything. You miss me speculating about the Steelers maybe being able to win the game. At least with the 9.5, the Steelers are appealing. I'm not trying to tell anyone to go bet the Steelers money line. I'm pretty excited about the Browns this week, even though the Texans have won us a lot of money. And then I'm going against the grain. I'm going Lions. I get it. A lot of people are on the Rams. I see why. I just think playoff football is a little bit different. I think everyone has gotten used to betting regular season games, and I get it. That's what we've done the last 18 weeks, and we've done it rather well. But I think people are forgetting that playoffs are fucking different. And I did conjure maybe a question: can the Cowboys blow out the Packers? With everyone saying the Packers could put in some sort of upset this week, I'm just saying, like, bro, I think maybe the Cowboys could blow them away. Jesus, it's minus 35 degrees here in Calgary. Jesus, man. Jesus. Feel bad for like the animals outside and stuff. Yeah, man. But it builds character. The cold weather builds character. I think Lauren will be on. I'm not sure. She said she might be back in her hotel room. She's doing some sort of poker tournament. She's on the second weekend. She made it past the first weekend. I'm not sure the whole scenario. She did say she might be on today. Yeah, Michael, man, let me get you on, man. Let me send you an invite. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let me just make sure. I don't want to miss any Patreon questions, so let me just double check. Okay, Michael, man. Let me just get a water. I'm going to send Michael, man, an invite. Then I'll get to the rest of the questions. Okay, here we go. Miami will get walloped in that freezing cold versus KC from Kip. I hope not, man. It's been a good run with Miami for us this year. I just don't want to see it end that way. I really don't. I really don't. All right, let me get some water. I'll be right back, like 30 seconds. Hey, guys. Did any of you guys see some of the beef that's been going on the internet? Just to use an example, like, did you guys see Cat Williams beefing with everyone? Did you guys see Stephen A. beefing with what's his name? The big dude. What's his fucking name? Oh fuck, man. Where I forgot his name. But have you guys been seeing some of this beef that's been going on the internet? Yeah, man, we got Coke tonight, man. It's one of those nights. It's one of those nights. I got the regular, man. It's one of those nights. Yeah, Whitlock. It's been fun, man. I gotta say, man, I wasted a little bit too much time on YouTube watching all that stuff. No, I don't bet NBA. I gotta say, man, I agree with Rasheed Wallace. Like this new version of NBA is garbage, man. I gotta agree with Rasheed Wallace there. Joe DeSouza says Mike Evans a possible Colt next year. What makes sense? I mean, you got to assume he's going to get paid. And Tampa had a chance to pay him this year, and they didn't. Yeah, I haven't looked at the full free agency yet. So, Ron Borkwin, teaser thoughts. Steelers plus 15. I like it. Cowboys -1. Bucks +9. I like that. It's the playoffs, so we'll see some crazy shit happen, but I think that hits. I honestly think that's a great 3-team teaser to roll out there. I can't disagree with it. C. Middlemiss, hey Lawson, just wanted to let you know with your help, I won our family pool this year, 12 people, $600. Not a ton of money, but a ton of bragging rights. Not to mention all my personal bets and other pools. I was able to upgrade to a 70-inch OLED TV. Thanks for everything, brother. Thank you, bro. For joining Patreon. And I'm glad, man. Honestly, sometimes the bragging rights are better than the money. Like, why do we see grown men who are worth $50 million slamming their heads into other men? At a certain point, it's about bragging rights. So I think it's everything. And it is fun getting something up on someone. There's nothing better than it. Yeah, that Cat Williams interview was probably the best thing I've seen in 4 or 5 years. Yeah, well, KC needs to pay someone, okay? KC needs a receiver next year because we've been criticizing them for the last 2 years. And yes, I looked like an idiot last year, but I'm looking like a prophet this year. At a certain point, people need to recognize how important that position is. Okay, here we go. Young D, Mahomes is going to choke. You think? That would be crazy, right? Imagine if he chokes against the Dolphins defense, missing 6, 7 starters, and Tua rolls into the next round. Dolphins players are talking some heavy shit, man. They're saying, "Oh, we're not wearing sleeves." I remember the last cold playoff game we had like this was the Seattle Seahawks, the end of the Legion of Boom era. We're going to my Minnesota Vikings with Teddy Bridgewater. My Vikings beat them like 13 to 12 on like the last drive. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to change the way the game is played. And honestly, at a certain point, guys, like I've always lived in cold weather cities, always had to go out in it. I do think like once we get to like a -30 wind chill, I think maybe like we shouldn't be doing this. But that's what makes playoff football great. Like I hope it snows. I hope it fucking snows 3 feet in the Steelers-Buffalo game. I want to see the Buffalo Bills navigate that. Um, my opinion, yeah, I did watch the whole thing. I almost watched it twice, bro. Yeah, no problem, Michael, man. St. Nicholas says the refs rule the NBA. Yeah, they do. Like, now that Rasheed Wallace has a platform, like, we've really heard about it. Like, listen, when I was like 14, 15 years old, I've always loved football more, but I used to love watching the NBA. I'm like the type of dude who gets their parents to buy them Game Pass. I can't watch that shit anymore. I just can't. Larry Stewart is a Patreon loyal. He has a question you didn't answer. Let me check, man. Now you're making me fucking feel bad, man. Now you're making me feel bad. Okay, let me go look at it. Making me feel bad. Okay. Larry, you'll find out. I just commented to you because you know you'll get what I'm betting this week. Commented to you. Mike, I agree. Like, a lot of the bets the KC Chiefs pulled off at wide receivers, just they haven't came to fruition at all. But Justin Ross, I felt like he showed some signs, and there's not a lot of development there. And now we're hearing stuff like it could be Big Red's last year. Whew. Yeah, dude. When I was back visiting my parents, I just drank Dr. Pepper the whole time. Dr. Pepper is on a different level, man. Unfortunately, it is not available to sell in the country of Brazil. It's not available to buy. Bodyguard 71. If the weather is so bad at the Buffalo game, why are they still favored by 9.5 points? My guess would be computers, because in this analytic age, in this computer age, I don't think they have I don't think a computer can understand how snow or 20-mile-per-hour wind can take away a quarterback an offensive advantage. That's my opinion on it. And yes, big gamblers, people who are very good at gambling, they do move lines. But at the end of the day, I think Vegas gets in their bunker, buries their flag, and they just ride with the computer. That's what I think is like the new vogue the last 3 years. And that's why public won a lot this year, because they're getting even more loyal to the computer, in my opinion, the analytics, so to speak. And yes, like there were some games this year where we hit like where it was historically lopsided, like where 85% of the bets were on the Titans, only 15% were on the Browns. We hit the Browns in that game, but that's been a rarity for this NFL season. It's just been a rarity. And I think the computers are starting to get exposed a little bit. Gruden, honestly, man, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer, but I've read a lot about Gruden's case. I would not be surprised if he wins it. I don't know what the fuck the NFL was thinking there. Yeah, so would not be shocked from my information that Gruden wins his case at all. I did see the Saints were interested in bringing him in. I really felt like that was fascinating. I do feel like Gruden's a good coach. And if you've been here a while, I don't know when you guys came here to the show, but the reason why this show blowed up in the COVID era was because Gruden kept covering spreads for me. That's kind of how it started blowing up, because he was just fucking money for us. Like, I know everyone said he was a disappointment with the Raiders, and you can say what you want, but that man covered spread after spread after spread for us. That was during that COVID year, you remember, where we felt like, oh, we got football, we don't got football. Oh, they're going to do it, they're not going to do it. You remember that year? And that's when this channel blew up, and we just rode Gruden the whole year. And that blonde boy took us home. It was something else. I love Gruden too, man. I do. I respect Gruden. I think a lot of people hated him because he was on ESPN. I get it. Like I don't like listening to people on ESPN either, but that's no reason to hate a man for taking a check. That's why I felt like a lot of the hate against Gruden started. So when he went back to the Raiders, everyone was fucking laughing about it and just fading them just to fade them. They weren't even watching the games or looking at how he coached. They were just fucking fading him. Just almost autistically, like, fade Gruden was on ESPN. He's annoying. And just like, okay, like, it was like that. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Gruden consulted for the Saints? I didn't know he was consulting. The only thing I saw was that he might be the offensive coordinator this year, but I wouldn't mind Gruden consulting for my football team. 7-point teaser: Browns-Chiefs, Buffalo, Cowboys, Lions. Yeah, not a big problem with it. I do wonder, I do think maybe we see something crazy this weekend. No one wants to be caught in the shrapnel of something crazy happening this weekend. I think St. Nicholas, like, I think everyone felt it was BS. Once the Gruden story broke, I felt like everyone felt like that was a little bit fugazi and manufactured and planted. We got soccer plays, Arsenio. We got soccer plays. We're going hard this weekend. You'll see them. You'll see them. I'll be posting them after the show. We got some. Man, I'm excited about the soccer plays this week. Michael, man, I don't think they're ever going to rebuild. Honestly, like, I don't think they're capable of rebuilding. And with the Rams, you saw how much you can rebuild if you go after younger guys. Even if you have a bad salary cap position, I don't think the Saints will learn. Well, St. Nicholas, that's what's interesting, bro. Because you do wonder, if the Cowboys lose, for instance, to the Packers or in the next round, you got to think Jerry's going to call Bill Belichick, right? And that's why I was asking you guys earlier in the show, because I'm not seeing this board too well. I'm not seeing this coaching board too well. Like, we got Vrabel. I'm not necessarily seeing a slam dunk spot. We got Hoodie, Bill Belichick. I'm not seeing a slam dunk spot. We got Ben Johnson, one of the better coordinators the last 2 years, Detroit's offensive coordinator. I'm not seeing a slam dunk spot. It looks like the Raiders are afraid to commit to Antonio Pierce. And it just opens up a lot of questions. Like I said, I'll repeat myself. I felt like this whole year it was going to be Belichick to the Chargers. And now when you hear the Chargers mentioned, all we hear about is Harbaugh going there. That's all we hear about. I do think Vrabel to the Chargers would be a good call. I do think it would be. Joe, I wasn't aware of the Chargers cap issues. Was not aware of it. But would Hoodie go to Atlanta? Would you go to Atlanta? And I think Atlanta's got a great fucking roster. It's just there's no quarterback. Russell Wilson, Falcons starting quarterback. That's fucking grim, Prince. That's grim, bro. That's grim. Oh, Jesus. Like, it's an option. It might be what they have to do, but that's grim if you're a Falcons fan. Felt like, listen, I know everyone was saying, like, oh, Russell's better this year than he was last year. Felt like he was fucking terrible this year. Even with all the turnovers the Broncos defense forced the second half of this year, I felt like he was terrible, bro. Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, Herbert does have a big contract.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? Let me turn him a little bit. Okay. Stop.
There we go. Wait, say that again?
I said, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. I'm driving right now, so that's why I took forever to get on. I had to pull over.
Took the whip out.
What? Oh, yeah. I saw people were coming at us for our hair last week, so I had to get it cut a little bit. But you copied me.
Pretty much. It wasn't intentional. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want to correct the dude.
Yeah, same, pretty much.
So
I have to get my hair cut pretty frequently, so.
But yeah, like on wild card weekend, man. If there's any time to spruce up and get ready, it's wild card weekend.
100%. This is the best week of the year, other than week 1. Like you said, this is the only. I feel like 6 games is the perfect amount to have during a given week to focus on, especially when these are all pretty good teams.
Yeah, man, and the matchups are interesting. And then also, just to ask you a question about something. Imagine how grim it would be if Russell Wilson ended up going to Atlanta.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I would not put it past him. But I think Russell's done, if I'm being honest. I don't. Yeah, I don't know why. I feel bad for his situation. I mean, he's kind of getting robbed out of a lot of money, but I mean, he did it to himself.
It is what it is, man. I'm not. There will be no tears shedded for him.
No, 100%.
But yeah, man. What game you want to talk about?
Rams-Lions. I know people are coming at you for being on the Lions, and to be honest, I'm kind of with them. I think the Laporta injury is really going to hurt Detroit. He accounted for 10 of their red zone touchdowns this year. And if there's one person you do not want to enter the playoffs without, if you're Detroit, I think it's him. Additionally, give me the more veteran team in this scenario. I mean, we've seen it's kind of an underrated factor, especially in the wild card round. Look at how many times a road veteran wild card team will go into a hot shot, 12-win team in the wild card round, and the road team will come off the win. I mean, shoot, McVay's first playoff game against the Falcons. Remember that? Falcons went into L.A. Rams, the better team, but Falcons were more veteran. They won. I can think of that Eagles-Bears game a couple of years ago with the double doink game. Eagles were on the road, came in against a pretty young team and beat them just because they had that veteran leadership in the playoffs. I think it's an underrated factor, and I think it's going to come into play here.
I don't think the Rams are more veteran than the Lions.
I mean, you're talking at least, 5, 10 playoff games under McVay's belt. And let's be honest, like, looking at the coaching matchup, I love Dan Campbell, but I kind of like McVay here.
Yeah, okay, that's a good way to pivot. Like, a lot of the Rams team is guys who are drafted this year. But, okay, I get what you're saying. You're going to go, like, the McVay angle. I get it.
I'm saying coaching-wise.
I get it. And then you got Matt Stafford. So, like, I get it.
And I'm not trying to say Dan Campbell's crazy or compare him to like Brandon Staley. But let's think about this. If LA goes up like 7-0 and Detroit gets the ball in their first possession and it's like 4th and 6 from the 50 and Dan Campbell goes could you see Dan Campbell like going for that and messing it up and then LA gets another field goal? Like
it's that's the analytics, man.
No, analytics. I don't believe that. Dan Campbell believes in scoring no matter what, and that's it. When he went for it, when he went for 2 from the 7-yard line, that's when I know Dan Campbell was like, you know what, fuck this, we're winning.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's consistent, and I don't think he's going to clench his booty hole up in the playoffs. And that's one thing I would be more scared about him clamping up, so to speak, than being wild and crazy. So I guess that gives me a little bit of confidence. Also, like, um, does anyone want to look at this Rams front seven, or do we just pretend that like it's only played with Aaron Donald?
Well, that
That's one thing I felt like people are missing out on. Like, okay, this Rams front seven has Aaron Donald, but it's still a front seven because there's 6 other dudes.
I mean, that rookie edge rusher they have is pretty good. I forget his name off the top of my head, but
Holt.
Holt. He's been. I mean, you can make a case that he's a defensive rookie of the year candidate.
Then they had they had the Turner nose guard guy who he's had like 6 great games in a row. I just don't know how. I don't think they're going to be able to stay in run fits, man. And I think the Lions are going to run it down their throat. And also, like, I don't know, man, if the Rams are going to be able to throw it as much as people think. Like, I think they're going to be throwing it, but people are talking like 350, 375 for Stafford. I don't know, man. I think it gets closer in the playoffs. Like, I don't think it's going to be wide open, slanging it like that.
I mean, between Puka and Cup, I just don't see where the matchups are for Detroit's defense. Like, they're kind of in a no-win situation right now, and Sutton hasn't been too good the last couple weeks.
Agreed.
I'm looking at this from the perspective of this is going to be a shootout, and in that scenario, I'm looking at who has more weapons, and right now, I think that's Detroit, that's LA, and that's why I have them winning this game at the end of the day.
I think Laporte is going to play, though.
I don't think he is. I mean, they announced that really early that he was out.
He practiced Thursday and Friday.
I mean,
he didn't do like a full practice. He was obviously limited, but practiced a little bit Thursday. He practiced today. They're saying it's the same injury Kelsey sat out week 1 with, for whatever that's worth. It's obviously not good news, but
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries too, I don't know if you saw this, but Baker and Jalen Hurts have hardly practiced at all this week for their wild card game. Have you been checking those injury statuses? That might be the most uncertain game of the week.
Worried about Hurts. It's not even like the middle finger I'm worried about. I'm worried about the rest of the body.
Well, and not to mention both his receivers are as well.
I don't think AJ Brown plays, Mike.
It looked, when he got hurt against the Giants, I mean, MetLife victim right there. That looked bad. I thought he tore his ACL at first look at it.
That turf's embarrassing, bro.
No, they got to get rid of that. I mean, how many players need to end their year there for the NFL to do something?
It doesn't make sense. Like, and plus, Mike, we get double the games on that than any other field.
Yeah.
So I don't even think it's like some sort of like outlier. Okay, you get double the games, you get double the injuries. I feel like every single game we see played on that turf ends in some sort of huge critical injury.
Some sort of lower body year-ending injury
pretty much. But yeah, I still like the Rams. I mean, I still like the Bucs in that Eagles game.
I do too. I do too. But I have to say, being at that Bucs-Panthers game in person last week, and you could just tell Baker was not right. Like, I mean, he was going to the 10 after nearly every possession, limping off the field every time. He was missing throws. I mean, he kind of looked like he did a few years ago when he tanked away the Browns here. I don't know if you remember that, but I think
I do.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But yeah, the way I see it, listen, you got railed by New Orleans. You can't even score a touchdown against the Panthers. I think they're gonna win, and if I had to pick one team, I'm going Tampa. But the way I see this, if the Eagles play like the team we know they're capable of, they're gonna win this game by 20 points, and that's why you can't bet it.
Yeah, but Mike, don't you feel like this Eagles team? Like, I don't know. It just depends. Like, do you feel there's an Alamo in them? I don't know.
I wouldn't put it past them.
But no, that's the thing in this league. You can never put it past anyone. It's just sometimes a lost year is a lost year.
No, but yeah, I'm with you though. I have Bucs to win and cover. Just can't bet it out of respect for the Eagles' talent. But I think Eagles lose this game, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Sirianni gets fired next week.
Well, Mike, that's the interesting part to this whole coaching merry-go-round. Like, I don't have a read on any of it. Normally, I would have a pretty good read on it. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen.
I think
Secondly, I'm not sure Todd Bowles and Nick Sirianni have jobs. I wouldn't fire Sirianni, but it's just I'm not. I wouldn't bank on those two having jobs.
I think Nick Sirianni. I think the Eagles are mentally broken right now. Like, that team just has. I mean, you don't have to look hard at the Eagles to just tell they're not playing up to their full potential. They're missing tackles pretty much on every defensive play. Their offensive miscues are happen regularly. You can see that the players, the team doesn't agree with a lot of the play calling that's going on by Brian Johnson. Like, I mean, just look at that at the ending of that Cardinals game, where the Eagles pretty much can just turtled up and let the Cardinals. I can't talk today. Let the Cardinals get the ball back by kicking a field goal. Stuff like that. Like, I don't think this Eagles team is bought in, and I don't see how you return from that.
Yeah, man, and I agree. I want, like, in the chat they're saying, "How can you fire Sirianni?" I agree. It's just, man, the Super Bowl slump is always there if you lose. Like, we know that. That's always there. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But this coordinator position this year has been absolutely tragic. I wouldn't fire Sirianni, but they fired Doug Pederson.
Let's not forget they fired Doug Peterson after one bad year, after like 3 straight playoff berths. So we've seen the Eagles front office do it before. And then I think, especially if you think Nick Sirianni lost the locker room, that's hard to bounce back from.
Yeah. When you start seeing the players only meetings, you just know something's off there. Although I don't think that, I hope they don't fire him. But
no, yeah, I like Nick Sirianni too. I hope they don't fire him, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to see a situation where this works out.
Yeah, what other game do you want to talk about?
Bills Steelers. I feel like this is the degenerate, game of the week. And you give me Mike Tomlin 10.5, I'm taking it. I'm riding or dying with that all the way. Not to mention, like, I feel like anytime Mike Tomlin is a big underdog like this, he really seems to embrace and coach with that kind of role. You see a lot of run heavy games from the Steelers in moments like this, things where they're trying to win time and possession, actions of that nature that help you cover a spread. So I'm riding the Steelers here, with that 10.5. I, like you've already mentioned a whole bunch of times, I think the win is going to play a factor. That definitely benefits the Steelers. And Najee Harris and Jalen Warren have really been running well lately. And I feel like if there's one weakness of that Bills defense, it is the front seven. Because their secondary's been playing lights out, but I think you can actually get the ground game going on them. And you do that, you can keep yourself in any game.
Agreed. Yeah, that's pretty much my analysis. And also, I don't think the Bills are playing all that good right now. I know people got excited after Cowboys game, but I don't think they're playing all that well.
I mean, they're winning. That's all you can do. They've won 5 straight to get here. They're clearly, like, confident in themselves, and I think that's all you can ask for entering the playoffs.
Yeah, and what about Packers Cowboys? I've been hearing a lot of Packers upset this week.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, but I don't see it. Joe Barry's defense has been playing better the last 2 weeks, but let's not forget, it's been what's the Vikings QB name? I just blanked.
Nick Mullins.
Yes, it's been Nick Mullins and then Justin Fields. So don't have an aneurysm because.
Oh, and they didn't even get Nick Mullins. They got Jaron Hall.
Yeah, that's who it was. Jaron Hall. Okay,
so you got
Jaron Hall and Justin Fields. Don't get too excited about the Packers defense now having to cover CeeDee Lamb with that matchup.
Yeah, I kind of think the Cowboys blow them out. It's just the point if I want to bet it or not.
I don't think it's a blowout. I think Packers cover, but I mean, I don't see an upset.
Yeah, man. And Browns-Texans.
I got Browns, but I have a question for you. So does what happened 2 years ago with the Packers-Cowboys game, we all remember that game. I'm sure that still haunts you to this day.
Oh.
Does that make you nervous at all betting this one?
No, but I get why people bring it up.
Yeah.
That game was absolutely fucking treacherous, L to
No,
take.
that was some BS. Yeah, that was BS.
It made me hurt, man. Like this year, like listen, it was a college fun game. It didn't hit. Like I felt like I put us in good position. This year we were like 2-0 with a push on the college funds. But yeah, man, those sting. And
Yeah.
I do need everyone to remind themselves that yes, like the Cowboys will play a lot of man to man again, but Aaron Rodgers will not be there, and it will not be in Lambeau Field. I do think people are reaching a little bit with that.
And listen, your fundamentals about that game were right. Like I don't. If you
Thank you.
could make the argument again, I think you would do it again. It's just you can't stop. When you hit two big plays in a game, like those are fluky, those are pretty rare, and that's what ultimately helped push the Packers over the edge. So,
And the worst thing is, I think CeeDee Lamb caught a touchdown to make it like a 13-point lead in the third quarter. The worst
yeah.
thing is when you start celebrating early, then you get did like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a tough one. But
yeah, man.
No, Browns-Texans. I have the Browns to win cover. I don't. I think the Texans are actually going to double Amari Cooper this time. I don't know why they didn't do that a few weeks ago when they played, but I think if you double Cooper, I think you allow yourself to be acceptable to David Njoku having a big day. I forget his first name. I think you allow yourself to have a good day, and I think you let this Browns rushing attack get going. This is the playoffs. I don't think Joe Flacco is going to go turn the ball over 2 or 3 times like we've seen him do times this year. And I also think this Browns defense is just at a different level than anything CJ Stroud has seen.
You do worry about the Browns defense making silly mistakes like they made on the road, but I do think they'll have a different focus with the playoffs. And I do think this week off, because none of the starters played last week, I think that's going to help them a lot. And like this is one reason why I don't like stats, like because you remember last week we're big on the Texans. I did say like, listen, I worry about the Texans run defense, and like people kept shooting out that they were 8th in the league against the run. Like, can we even take those stats seriously anymore?
I mean, I don't think you can look at like the per game statistics. But if you want to look at advanced stats like yards per carry and yards per play and things of that nature, I think that's a good route to go. But yeah, stats like that are overblown if you're talking yards per game.
Yeah, man. And I guess the last game we need to talk about Dolphins-Chiefs. I don't know, man. It's really lackluster how the Dolphins are going into this playoffs. Honestly, I don't think they even played that bad against the Bills. I felt like they got some pretty bad luck that game. I'm not trying to make excuses or cover for them, but I felt like they got some really bad luck. And now, like, they're bringing in fucking Bruce Irvin to start at defensive end. I'm just like, fuck, bro. Like,
and Justin Houston as well.
Both can ball, but like Justin, it's just I don't know, man.
And they're both like
disappointing for it to end this way.
No, it is, and it is kind of a mental demoralizer when you're in the division lead for the last 4 weeks, and then you choke it away. Like that does suck. And now you have to go from playing in 80 degrees to go to playing in whatever it is, -2 degrees in Kansas City. And I do think that's like a major kick in the balls. But no, I have Chiefs to win cover simply because of that reason. And the way I think about it is if the Chiefs come out and they start running the ball, trying to tackle in the cold is a lot more painful than trying to tackle in the heat. And you when Pacheco gets that shoulder into you, I think that the Dolphins are going to feel it, man. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball pretty much the entire day, and I think that's what's going to be enough to get them the win.
Bro, and we talk about the psychology of the Eagles. Come on, the psychology in that Dolphins locker room can't be great.
No, it can't. And listen, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. Tua is playing like crap right now. And now you throw him in the cold, how is he going to look?
Yeah, bro, and they're like running the ball good, but they keep getting away from it. And You can't run it at Chris Jones, and I do think they could hypothetically be able to run the ball on the Chiefs, but I don't think they're going to have near enough patience to stay with it.
No.
So then it just comes down to Tua, and then we're pretty much like getting in the corner and praying that Tyreek Hill has a godlike performance, which is entirely possible. But I even think he could have a godlike performance and they still won't fucking win.
Yeah. And
So-
don't we think Spagnuolo is going to have a plan to counter the crap that McDaniels is going to come in with?
Yeah, but also as a McDaniels enjoyer, I do hope he has something in his back pocket because, bro, like that last drive against the Bills was a little bit stale. I thought we were going to see some shit coming. Like, we didn't see anything. It was a little bit stale.
True. I mean, I remember, if you haven't watched the film of when the Dolphins were down 14-0 against the Panthers, and McDaniels just went fucking crazy at every turn. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Has the banana clip been emptied? Like, is there any? Have they done everything? Have they just emptied the clip like week 8, and now it's just?
Well, my point is, I think if there's one defensive coordinator who can counter that, it is Steve Spagnuolo. I mean,
what do you think? What's Spagnuolo going to do? Like, is he going to attack them? Like, I wouldn't want to attack the Dolphins' offense. Like, I wouldn't want to send blitzes.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to play coverage, personally. I think this is the week you finally see him dial off for a change. But I don't know if there's anyone better at timing up a blitz than him. It seems like every time he blitzes, more times than not, it either results in a pressure or a sack.
They get a lot. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. I want to see some drama, and I'm not ruling Miami out, but like that's kind of like the main point. Like I think Mike McDaniels kind of ran out of ideas.
Yeah, and I think I wonder, like, this is not the first year we've seen this out of the Dolphins, where they have a great first couple weeks and they kind of limp into the playoffs. And I hope this isn't the story of Mike McDaniel in Miami, because I do really like him as a coach.
Because last year he got an excuse of Skylar Thompson.
No.
And then you remember when they went to Buffalo, I think it was wild card round. Correct me if I'm wrong. They actually had a chance to beat them with Skylar Thompson. But let's hope he comes out with something. The cold is just, I think that, like you said, like I think this works more towards Pacheco than it works towards Miami. But
I mean, you literally take an 80-degree drop, and now you're talking about a KC team that is going to be coming to run the ball. It's just like, I mean, I don't see how you wake up and, put on a top-tier effort in that kind of environment. So, sorry, Miami.
I'm also worried about, like, this Dolphins defense started getting better, like, around, like, week 9, week 10. But now I'm worried about I still think Zyler and Christian Wilkins, I think they can win some battles in the interior. Like, I actually like their matchups there. But I'm just worried that Fangio will have to blitz to get pressure, and then, like, we know Mahomes is going to eat that. So
now I will say, like, again, when these two teams played in London, 2 months ago, I thought the Dolphins actually did a pretty good job of covering the Chiefs, and Miami should have won that game. So if you're looking at the matchup perspectives, if you're telling me you're going to put Ramsey on Kelsey, if you're telling me you're going to create good matchups across the board on these receivers, then I do see an alley where Miami could keep it close, but I just don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, bro. I unfortunately, like, I want to see some magic. Like, I want to see a Chiefs-Dolphins game turn into an instant classic.
Yeah. And don't you think, we talked about Mike McDaniel having some, tricks in his hat. Don't we think Andy Reid has some stuff saved?
Yeah.
Like, he has to be, he's been waiting for this for like a month.
So, yeah. I like the under in the game, but.
Oh, I do too, yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways, Mike, I'll let you go, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate having me, man. I'll see you next week.
All right, Mike. Have a great one, man.
You too. Bye.
Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Patreon bets. I'll get those hour and a half. I'll list some props for you guys because I know we have a limited window to bet. Thank you for joining in. Enjoyed the show tonight. Hope everyone has a great wild card weekend. Have a great one, guys.